Hiya. So this video was requested a couple of weeks ago, and I said to the person I'd look into it. So this is the story of Paul Kenneth Bostock. In 1983, Paul Bostock murdered 33-year-old Caroline Osbourne, and then 2 years later, in 1985, he murdered 21-year-old Amanda Wheedon, both in Leicester, England. Despite taking 2 lives in a brutal, sadistic manner, he is now being released back into civilization. He is a predator among us. At the time of his arrest, Paul was described as a sadist who was obsessed with the occult, which these days the occult seems to be a catch-all term, meaning, Satanism and people tying into like black magic and all stuff like that, when really occult is used in surgery quite a lot. Like a tumour can be occult, it just means hidden. The victims' families don't know where he is or if he's been given a new ID. Caroline owned a pet grooming business in Narborough Road. On Friday, July 29th, 1983, Paul stabbed her in the chest and neck multiple times and then dumped the body in Stone Meadows. During the police investigation, they interviewed 15,000 people. Caroline was quiet and reserved, but she loved to talk about dogs. In 1982, she had been on a safari trip with a friend to Kenya, and she absolutely fell in love with the place. She wanted to move there. She was making plans to sell a business, sell a home. She was taking flight lessons. That's where she wanted to go, Kenya. On the 29th of July, she got home about 6 p.m. that night. She was taking 2 dogs out for a walk. She was last seen that Friday night by a witness who thinks it was her being chased by a man. At about 7:10, a neighbour seen one of the black Labradors heading home alone. The dog was unattended and they got concerned. The next day, a body was found. The other dog she was with stayed with the body all night. Now this bit's really creepy and it pisses me off. In April 1985, by now Paul Bostock was 18 and he had been to visit Caroline's grave. The idea that, he murdered this poor woman and then he goes to a grave and visits, that pisses me off. It was when he was in the grave, in the cemetery, visiting Caroline's grave, he spotted Amanda. Now, Amanda was a nurse and she was planning to get married in about 3 months' time. That day she had been into the city centre with her fiance to do a little bit of shopping. On her way back, she'd taken a shortcut through the cemetery. Paul spotted her and attacked her. He stabbed her 37 times in the neck, chest and thigh. When his nan heard the police description of the man, now Paul lived with his nan, and when she heard the description, she said to Paul, look, that sounds a lot like you. You need to contact the police and, figure it out. As I said, by now Paul was 18, and he was around 6'5" and weighed 15 stone. When the police did finally conduct a search of his home, they'd found pictures of rituals and murders. They found martial arts weapons and a diary. In the diary, between the 28th and the 29th of July 1984, it said 1 year anniversary. In June 1986, aged 19, Paul admitted to both murders of the young women, and he was sentenced to a mandatory life sentence. Before he was sentenced, he wrote, quote, I have destroyed everything, not only that I tried to be, but I have ruined my victims' families' lives. My family's life and the life I had planned for us. Now I don't like how he claims ownership of the women by saying my victims. A lot of killers have the common sense to say their victims. But he claims ownership, and they don't belong to him. They belong to the loved ones. And the fact that he went visiting Caroline's grave, probably to relive every scream and every bit of pain, he was probably pleading and begging for them to stop. Did he get aroused? If he's a sadist, he felt pleasure. He derived pleasure from all that pain. Is that why he went and visited Caroline's grave? Because I doubt it was out of guilt. Connor felt that guilty if whilst he's there he spots another woman that he wants to do it to. He then went on to say, I am an animal who deserves to be locked away. If I suffer 100 years, I will still deserve more, end quote. Again, that pisses me off that he says, I am an animal. No. You are a human monster. An animal, one of the dogs that Caroline was with, stayed with her dead body all night. That is what an animal does. An animal doesn't do what you do. You evil piece of shit. In 2020, the parole board, who deemed him fit to live amongst us, wrote to the families a month before to let them know that he would be released. I can't imagine how they felt. I'd be so angry. He will remain under licence and have tight restrictions, movement monitored by tag, and have a daily curfew. Yeah, sounds like they really trust him. Right, pardon my French for a second, but what the actual fuck is wrong with these people on these parole boards? Like, what's their process of thinking? I don't understand them. And it's time after time after time. And then you get people who are inside for crimes they haven't even done. There's evidence sat there. And the criminal case review people are taking the damn time before they're even starting an appeal process. even though there's evidence to say that they actually have not committed this crime, they can't get out. But people who admit it, and you know, the evidence is there that they did it, oh yeah, they can get out after, you know, after a certain amount of time. It's fine. He's still about 56. He's still young. 20 years older than me, still young. What's interesting about this case is the lack of information. Now, in the National Archives, I can't remember how I ended up there, but I was trying to find more information on him. And I noticed that the records have been sealed for 81 years. And you can't access them until 2068. Now, the only time I've seen that, I've seen it 2 times before. One was the Dunblane massacre. That was sealed for 100 years. And I can't think of the man's second name, Thomas something. I can't think of his second name. It's been years since I've looked at that case. I think it was a setup, but that case file's being sealed for the 100 years as well. They don't usually do that, which explains why there's no documentaries, there's not much written, there's no books written that I could find. Very odd. But, you know, my thoughts and prayers are with, you know, Caroline and Amanda's families. You know, Caroline should have been able to go to Kenya and do whatever the hell she wanted to do. Amanda should have been able to get married and have kids, settle down and be a nurse. It's not fair. And the fact that he's out, couldn't make it up. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back with another video on more cases like this. It's going to be a combined case. I'm not going to do a full case on them because it's not necessary. One of them is so horrific that you'll just get it. But it's going to be a combined case of 3 of cases where they are now out, living amongst us. So that's good. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.